Hey guys, I just want to take a few minutes and discuss getting over plateaus. The typical life cycle of someone new to working out or new to CrossFit in particular is going to be they get a lot better over the first couple years and then they start to kind of stall out. So in the first couple years, even though that's the time we really want to be focusing on the basics and building our foundation so we get better year in, year out, a lot of people don't have that attention to detail in the beginning because anything they do, it's the first time they're doing high intensity exercises, the first time they're weight training, or they're doing it at different intensities, and anything they do is going to make them better. You get to a point about a year, 2 years in where progress starts to slow down, and now it really matters, did you build that foundation? If not, we got to go back and do it. And are you really tying in all the pieces that we need to tie in to keep making progress year in, year out? So I've got a list of a few things I want to talk about that can help you get over those humps and over those plateaus. If you're just starting out, if you can start by doing all of these things, you're going to be light years ahead of everybody. But the good news is if you're stuck in a plateau, probably one, if not more of these things are going to give you a lot of opportunity and a lot of potential to bust past it. So first thing we need to do is go back to the basics. So like we always talk about, are we bracing correctly? Are we getting your shoulder and your hip joints stabilized correctly? Are we linking everything back to that posture and back through the squat, the push-up, and the jump? And do we have any holes or gaps in those things? Like we talk about all the time, if we have a little bit of an issue going on in any of those movements, then we see that just get amplified over and over and over again. So what that does is that puts us at an increased risk of injury and overuse injuries, which is going to stall our progress, but it also just doesn't allow us to produce max force. So going back to the basics can really help you get the foundation you need that we can really pile a lot of weight and speed on, and you can get up to a certain level without that, but you're not getting up past it. So next piece is work on your mobility, especially if you're a year or 2 years in. Almost everyone we talk to has tight shoulders or their hip or their ankle, and they know what areas of their body that needs improvement, and they just haven't taken the time to hammer it. So we've got a bunch of videos coming out about the mobility to help you along that process, but really figure out what you need. Use a coach, but figure out what you need, and then let's really dedicate some daily time into fixing that issue. If our ankles, hips, shoulder, upper back, if these things aren't moving the right way, we're not able to get into the best leveraged positions, and without that leverage, kind of goes back to the basics. If we're not able to get into the best positions possible, we're not able to really build on top of what we've got. So for most people, you know what your weakness is mobility-wise. It's time to gain those positions and claim your positions. Recovery. A lot of people are lacking in their recovery, especially as you keep going. People get more and more advanced with their workout programs. They add more and more work in, but they never build up the recovery. Recovery is everything. Sleep, nutrition, those play a huge role. Just being active daily, so 10,000 or more steps, moving, stretching, doing those things, just being active every single day, tied in with nutrition and sleep is huge. Mobility work, so we're trying to touch every piece of your body every month. And then if you have an issue like tight ankles, we want to hammer those things every day until we start seeing some progress on that. So moving on, another common thing, especially in a CrossFit gym, is treating training like it's the CrossFit Games. Treating your training like every day your score matters. And really what we want to do is we need more actual training and less testing. So what we like to recommend is an 80-20. 80% of your workout should be training. We should be trying to get better at something. If it's bracing, if we identified something in the push-up going wrong and we're doing pull-ups or overhead presses, we want to be able to address those things in our training. So we're still going to go hard in training, but the priority is perfect movement and technique development. Then 20% of our workouts, which might be 1, maybe 2 a week, we're testing. So now we're using the techniques we know, and we're really redlining it, pushing it as hard as you can, but using the techniques we build up here. So most people are just coming in every day, banging their head against the wall over and over again, just trying so hard, and they're not trying hard in the right ways. You need to try hard with your technique and developing your technique, and then only then are we going to have that foundation to really keep building year in, year out. To a lot of people, especially the people who have really dug into CrossFit, this seems like a weenie way to go about it. This is the only way to get to those elite levels, believe me. All right, so another thing, more force production in our strength sets. So force equals mass times acceleration. So if we write sets, we'll just use something general. Say we ask you to do 3 sets of 5 at 80%. On any given day, your max might be plus or minus 18%. So that 80% number isn't rare. It's rarely actually 80%. So if you throw whatever that is on the bar, on any given day, that might actually be 90% of your max that day, or it might be 70% of your max that day. It might be off. Here's the thing. If we're going straight off of percentages, then we have to get the percentages exactly right to make you put the effort in you need to. But if we attack this a little bit differently, and we're going to use the percentages to help us frame how many reps and sets we're doing, but within every rep, we're going for maximal force. So we're not going to do a set of 5 standing up with the bar and trying harder and harder every rep as we get deeper and deeper into the sets. What we're doing is we're trying to accelerate the bar as fast as we can on every single rep to get maximal force. So then it doesn't matter if we're lifting at 50%, at 70%, at 100%, we can get maximal force production on the bar, and then ultimately that's what's required to continue to develop those strengths at high levels. Again, all of this is within the context of great working towards perfect technique. So we're only providing as much force and as much weight as we can in those really solid positions. So another thing we can do is, especially once you get in that year, 2-year range, people really start reaching for those RX numbers, and they really start caring about getting up to the RX numbers. What this does is, for most people who aren't there yet, or even if you're strong enough for it yet, your technique might not be there yet. What that's going to end up doing is it's going to make us use variations of the gymnastics like pull-ups, push-ups, and stuff that we're not quite ready for with the number of reps we're asking you to do, or it's going to make you use weights that you're not quite ready for at the reps we're asking you to do. So for most people, going lighter so we can prioritize technique and then speed with that technique is really going to increase your intensity and what we're getting out of the workouts. As we do that, I recommend doing that for a while, see how it feels. Rarely, when I pull somebody back and have them go lighter for the workout, it is so rare that after the workout they look at me and they go, that was too light. Usually what happens, they pull back and they're just like, I was able to go a lot faster the next day. They're more sore than they would have been. We're getting just more out of the workout once we get the weights in the ranges that's going to be the best for you. So remember, the way to get to RX is not to just go heavier. It's to progress yourself, get the right amount of sets and weights, and then progress this over time. Another way we can do this is we can progress you in the difficulty of your movement. So maybe you're using a thin band for push-ups, and it's time to get off the band. It's time to go regular push-ups. Or maybe we typically are doing the girls RX weight, and it's time to go up by 5% in the weight. What we can do to make sure that we're still prioritizing that technique and building you up is we progress the difficulty of the movement, but then we take the reps down. So if the workout calls for 10 push-ups a round and we don't quite have the 30 push-ups and we're trying to go from orange band to off of the orange band, then what we might do is take that 10 push-ups a round, do our regular push-ups, but change the number to 5 push-ups a round. After about a month of that, we're going to build that up, and maybe we're going 7 push-ups a round until you're developing your strength within the rep schemes that are actually going to keep you getting better and better. So there's a lot of opportunity here to get past your plateaus. Really, this is stuff we should have been doing all along, but it's really easy to get caught up in not caring, because in the beginning you get better no matter what you do almost. So take a step back, stop testing all the time. Let's de-emphasize scores and workouts for a little bit. We'll come back to it, and let's emphasize going back to the basics, cleaning up any mobility or stability issues you got going on. Let's clean up your lifestyle outside of the gym, and let's recover better for the work you're doing in here. Let's spend most of our workouts prioritizing technique over intensity and your ego. Let's, on every single rep, especially in strength training, let's really focus on accelerating the bar as fast as possible in these good positions. And then let's play around a little bit. Let's go a little lighter than you're used to, or let's scale a movement a little more than you're used to pop that intensity up in the workouts for a little bit. And then let's build you back up to where you were before, because you're going to be so much stronger there. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.